Hi, I'm Kamel Fisher, and we're at the LD Micro Invitational at Westlake Village. It's the Four Seasons Hotel hosting us here today. With me, I have Mr. Frank Ingriselli, President of Indonesia Energy with the ticker INDO. Frank, welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Carmel.
Thank you for joining us on the Sequire Spotlight.
Sure,
We love spotlighting, all the companies attending here today. Have you had your presentation as yet?
No, it's going to be tomorrow at the ending of the day, so looking forward to that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Please, Frank, tell us more about Indonesia Energy.
Sure. So we are a public company, as you mentioned, symbol INDO on the New York Stock Exchange. We went public in December of 2019, and rang the opening bell on the New York Stock Exchange. And then unfortunately we got hit with COVID and couldn't go and do events like this. So it's wonderful to be back and presenting the company, but we own assets in Indonesia, as the name indicates. We have two assets, one on the island of Sumatra, one on the island of Java. But what people don't know is Indonesia is the fourth largest country in the world, after China, India, the United States, and then Indonesia.
Right.
So it's a huge country, has one of the largest economies in Southeast Asia, I think actually the largest economy. And so we're sitting there with a producing asset on one of the islands of Sumatra, and with 60,000 acres, and we've got additionally 1 million acres on the island of Java, which is a natural gas play. So, we're in the perfect timing, of course. While the markets right now are churning, mostly down just recently, but it seems like they're coming back up. Oil prices are hitting new highs all the time. So we're certainly in the right industry, the right sector, as I like to say, the right place at the right time.
Excellent, excellent. So can you touch on some of the financial fundamentals for our viewers?
Sure.
Please?
Yeah. So, we're obviously dependent on oil and the price of oil, but for example, we've got, just recently we drilled 3 successive discovery wells on the island of Sumatra. Each of those wells, and I encourage you to go to our website, www.indo-energy.com, but each of those wells cost us $1.5 million to drill. And with an oil price at $90, which now it's at $120, but at $90, the net revenue from that $1.5 million cost to drill will be over $2.2 million. So you're talking 150% plus rates of return on every well we drill. And fortunately, we just raised $10 million, and these wells at $1.5 million gives you a sense of how many more we can keep drilling. So our goal is that, and we fully expect that this year, 2022, the company will be cash flow positive, and we'll be delivering value to the shareholders, which is our number one goal in the company.
Excellent, excellent. Can you touch on some of the strengths that have gotten you to as far as you are now?
Sure. I think certainly the management team we have, but it's important who the jockey is on the horse, but it's also important the horse and the race you're running in.
Right.
So in Indonesia, you have a country that has a rich history of oil and gas for over the last 100 years involved. And just a little on my background, what attracted me to here is I've been 41 years in this industry. In 2001, I left Texaco, where I had risen to the position of president of Texaco International Operations. And at Texaco, when I exited, Chevron took over in 2001. The largest producing asset for Texaco in the world, number one in the world for Texaco, was in Indonesia. Chevron, which took over Texaco, the second biggest asset for Chevron in the world was in Indonesia. That's how important Indonesia is. That's how important and what is exciting about this company and the prospects this company has for the future. So it's for me, it was a win-win. They brought me in 3 years ago. I said, you know what? I'm towards the end of my career, and this is where I want to be, delivering value for shareholders, what I've done my last 41 years of my career.
Wonderful, which takes me into a further conversation about who is Frank Ingriselli. Can you touch on,
Sure.
touch a little more on deeper insights of your background?
Sure. So I'm by background, I have a law degree and an MBA. I joined Texaco in '79, and what they said was, Frank, we don't want you to be a lawyer here. We want you to go out around the world and develop new oil and gas assets for Texaco. So they sent me to China in 1979. I lived in China in 1983. I delivered and negotiated the first successful oil and gas project for Texaco and Chevron in 1983. They said, Frank, you're good at communist countries. We're going to send you to the Soviet Union. I went to the Soviet Union.
Wow.
And I lived in the Soviet Union in Moscow for a while. I ran the largest oil and gas international venture in the Soviet Union, later turning into Russia for the company. And I just had a great career. But post-Texaco, after I left, I started up I founded and started two companies on the New York Stock Exchange. One called Pacific Asia Petroleum and the other one called PEDEVCO, symbol PED on the New York Stock Exchange. The last time I was at this conference, I was talking about that company, and that company has done incredibly well. The day we announced the deal that we made, we went up 1,000% that day right after the conference, so I'm hopeful we can do something like that at Indonesia Energy. But that's why I joined. You know, I love the challenge when a company goes public, those first several years, to drive shareholder value, do conferences like this, and tell the story of Indonesia Energy.
Wonderful. I love everything you're saying, which takes me to want to understand a little bit more about what the company's true core values are.
Sure. Certainly it's great to go out there, and certainly our value is to deliver shareholder value. But, in today's world, there's a lot of challenges for oil and gas. And you want to make sure you do things environmentally right, for safety, and ethically. And I think we hit all those targets in the company, and sustainability. So we're doing all those things. That's very important to the company. When I went out there personally and watched the wells being drilled, we're doing it at the most highest standards of safety and environment, and that's very important. So, that's something that should drive value also for the company. So you're not going to get, hopefully, any oil spills by the company. You're not going to find any other, bad issues taking place in the company. It's very important, our reputation and our image, and that's been important to me in my 41-year career. I wouldn't join any company unless we take that as number one. And if you do that, you'll return shareholder value.
Excellent. Very well said. Tell me more about, the people and link to that the operations.
Sure. Yeah. So, here I am. I'm in California. We have two offices for the company. One is in Jakarta, Indonesia. That's, of course, the headquarters. But then I live just north of here, near San Francisco, and right next to the Chevron headquarters, actually. And that's the office there. But what's really driving the company is the operational team, the people that are drilling the wells in Indonesia. They all have rich experience of doing this in Indonesia and in Southeast Asia. And that's the team that has delivered those three successful oil and gas wells in a row. So we've got a great team there. They're working round the clock, drilling these wells right now and driving the cost. I mean, for example, we're drilling wells right now that are costing us almost about $20 a barrel is the operating cost to drill a well. And we're sitting at $120 a barrel for oil. So, it's a no-brainer that we've got a great team that's delivering on their efficiency to drive shareholder value, but doing it safely and environmentally and ethically. So that's that's critical to a successful operation.
100%. So as we touched on earlier, the market, we're all very aware of the current dynamics. Yes. And many a buzzword going around like inflation, interest rate hikes, quantitative tightening, the Russia-Ukraine war that is just not, seeing resolution at this point. How is this impacting what you're currently doing and what you plan on doing?
Yeah. So, one thing I always tell people is, being 41 years in the industry, I've never seen oil prices go down and not come up, and I've never seen prices be up in the energy industry and not go down. So we're sitting here right now and we're blessed with a high oil price, and that's because of some of these events that are going on in the world. With the war in Ukraine, from a curtailment in supply of oil coming out of Russia and elsewhere, so that's squeezing the prices higher. But that's not going to happen all the time. So, we got to be cognizant of that. We got to be careful for the bottom line. Notwithstanding that we're making a good deal of money now, prices will come down, and we got to be efficient like that. Fortunately, We've been blessed. Our stock price since January 1st is up about 300% in the last 5+ months. So we've done very well. Our average volume, so everybody loves us at Investors. So they love to see that our volume right now is averaging 3 million shares a day, which is 200% of the float. So 200% of our float is trading every day. So, it's a very liquid stock. We're delivering on that value right now, but we got to be careful because we can't just sit back and say, wow, look, and pat ourselves on the back. We got to realize that prices will come down, and so we got to be careful on our development plans for the future and driving costs to produce down so that when those prices do come down, we can still be a efficient and a profitable company.
Wonderful. If you don't mind me just asking what the shares out composition is amongst your, either internally or your investors.
Sure. So most of it is retail. So we have a lot of retail. However, the management team does hold about 50% of the company. So the management team and the founders of the company, the two founders of the company in Indonesia, together we own about 50%. The rest is out there being traded. A lot of retail. Institutional ownership is growing, especially as we just raised a significant amount of capital. And so I think that ratio will change. But we have a lot of retail investors that are buying the stock and buying and selling it.
How do you monitor what your shareholders are doing, and how do you stay connected with them?
Well, one thing we just did was we just signed up with Sequire. And so I just went through a training session just last week, and it's just incredible. I have to do a huge shout out because this company, the tools that they have are just incredible. That I can dig down. I mean, it's just, I'm sitting here on my screen and I can see who's buying the stock. I can see who they are, what they're doing with it, what they've done over the last period of time, how I could target and go out and reach them and do a campaign like that. So joining Sequire just in the last 30 days has been very important for the company, and that's how we'll be able to monitor who our shareholders are, how to target them, and how to market the company successfully. So this is what's great about this conference here, and I'm so glad that Sequire is doing this.
Awesome. Yeah, we're very proud of our offering and happy to be a part of your journey. That is really what it's about.
Yes,
right?
It is. Yes.
So in closing, could you just take a second just to give us 3 key takeaways for our audience members just to walk away from?
Sure. Oil prices are doing incredibly, but what you got to still look for is not just that companies are doing well because oil prices are high. You need to be efficient and you need to drive down the cost to produce oil. We're in a part of the world, Indonesia, people don't know much about, but it's one of the, historically and today, one of the biggest producers in the world, driving low costs. And that's where my old company, Texaco, produced 12 billion barrels of oil, $1 trillion of cash flow. That's what's most important. And we're in the right place at the right time in Indonesia energy.
Excellent. That was from a company's perspective. Can you leave our viewers with a little personal life motto or something that you hold dear that keeps you going daily?
Sure. What keeps me going is the excitement of the energy industry because it's geopolitical, it's economic, it's got everything in the world that affects it, whether you're talking the war in Ukraine, what the economies are doing in the world. I like in my life to have a challenge. I've retired about 4 times and have always come right back to work again. So I love the challenge, I love the excitement, and I like to bring in value to a company and value to the people that take their money and invest in the stock. So that's what's exciting to me personally. It's what drives me every day when I wake up, and it's exciting to be here.
Excellent. Well, I've really enjoyed this conversation, Frank.
Same here. Well, thank you, Carmel.
All the very best. Again, that was INDO, Frank Ingriselli, President of Indonesia Energy. This is Carmel Fisher, and you're watching the Sequire Spotlight.